News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to cut that short because we want to get right to Jodie Emery, who is calling us, and we're so grateful to have an opportunity to talk to her. Jodie, welcome to Winning the War on Consciousness.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, I've done most of the show giving it the background as I understand it on Mark's situation, but nothing wrong with going over those important rudimentary details again, especially hearing it from the horse's mouth, his wife. Why don't you go ahead and hip everybody to what the situation is?
Well, Mark started being an anti-government, pro-freedom, pro-liberty activist back when he was very young in London, Ontario. He fought against censorship laws, Sunday shopping laws, and especially a literature ban when he found out that books about marijuana and drugs were illegal. He decided to fight against that and tried to get himself charged so he could overturn that ban. And he ended up being successful years later with somebody else's case that he funded. But those are his earlier days. He brought High Times magazine into Canada. And then he decided to move to Vancouver in 1994 and start a hemp revolution. He opened a place called Hemp BC where he sold bongs, pipes, books, clothing of hemp, a lot of stuff that hadn't really been seen a lot to that point. And he helped modernize it and open stores across Canada. And he also started selling marijuana seeds because he knew that the government and the police and the propaganda machine are funded with millions and even billions of dollars, and that the cannabis freedom movement needed to have a sponsor as well. So he decided to become the biggest seed seller in the world, and he did. Over 10 years, he was the most popular, the most well-known. Mark Emery Direct Seeds was reliable and trustworthy, and over those years he was in business, every dollar that came from the profits went to the movement, funding court challenges, suing the federal government of the United States on behalf of medical patients, marijuana policy projects from NORML and lobbyist groups all across the United States. He started the U.S. Marijuana Party and helped the Canada Marijuana Party, and he's the leader of the BC Marijuana Party here in British Columbia. And so when he sold all those seeds, the sole purpose was to make money to fund pro-liberty, pro-freedom marijuana movement, and he was extremely successful, so much so that the United States Drug Enforcement Administration started an investigation to take him out and bring him down to the U.S. on conspiracy to manufacture marijuana, among other charges. And in the press release, the day that he was arrested, Karen Tandy, the head of the DEA, said that Mark Scott Emery, founder of a marijuana legalization group, has been arrested and his business has been put out of business, and that he funded pro-marijuana lobbyist groups across the United States with hundreds of thousands of dollars, that he had a propagandist magazine called Cannabis Culture, which we just stopped printing this spring. And she went on and on about how pot legalization groups now have one less pot of money to rely on. She was very clear, and people can see that document at our website, noextradition.net or cannabisculture.com. So Mark was facing 3 mandatory minimum charges, 10 years on each charge, and so he decided earlier in September that he would take a plea deal for 5 years in the U.S. federal system. But you must bear in mind that he never went to the United States. He never operated business in the United States. He kept giving away all the money so that there would be nothing to seize because he's not a person to collect assets. He really wants to save the world, and in many ways, cannabis hemp can save the world. So he was called the Prince of Pot by international media, the 60 Minutes, CNN, National Geographic, Rolling Stone, the Wall Street Journal. He's been covered in almost every piece of journalism and mainstream media and even underground media, being recognized for all the work that he's done for this cause.
Wow, you are so articulate, and what a great synopsis of Mark's resume. Let me say that to me, Mark Emery is a hero, a political hero, a personal hero, a man inspiring me to be more articulate. In fact, Mark's story is one of the things that inspired me to shift the focus of my radio programming, really, from the war on terror, sort of, to the war on drugs, and or at least added as a very, very important aspect of our programming. We've got callers already, so I'm going to just give them an opportunity to talk to you, Jodie. Caller from the 608 area code, go live, please, with Jodie Emery. 608 area code, speak. Can't hear you. Okay, sorry about that.
No.
We'll give them another chance in a minute. Is there any chance that this extradition order is going to be circumvented or
well, the first step,
rescinded?
and the reason that we're going through the extradition process, basically Mark agreed to a 5-year plea deal in the U.S. Now, he could have just gone to the border down to Seattle and pled guilty there, but he could then be extradited for the same crime to a different jurisdiction. So in order to protect him from that, we're going through the extradition process, which protects you from ever being extradited again. But even despite that, we're asking people to contact the Justice Minister of Canada and tell him to refuse the extradition because it's in his hands.
How much time is left for that?
Well, he has 30 days minimum, and that will be on the 28th of this month. It will be at the 30-day point, so he could sign it as soon as it reaches his desk. Or he has up to 90 days or even longer if he wants to extend it. However, I don't know if he'll bother doing that, seeing as Mark surrendered into custody for extradition. So the Justice Minister will likely just say that he's doing what the defendant chose to do, which is kind of true, but we still want people to express their outrage, and they have been. There's been phone jams and letters and emails being sent nonstop. So, yeah.
Okay, well, that music means there's 1 minute until we're already on this program. Jodie, I'm just so grateful that we had an opportunity to hear you make that very, very articulate synopsis about Mark's career. And if anybody wants to respond to the U.S. government's gloating about taking Mark out of and his money out of circulation, where can they make a donation?
Well, you can go to CannabisCulture.com. There's a big Free Marks banner for the Free Marks campaign. You can donate, get a T-shirt, buy posters, help spread his face and name everywhere. You can get him and all the other pot prisoners out of prison.
All right, great. All right, folks, you can take back America by helping Mark Emery. Jodie, thanks again.